to keep a count on pea plants, expecting a particular type of trait in each generation. Mendel did many researches on heredity and brought out 3 important rules of inheritance. About these 3 laws of inheritance we will be discussing in the next module. Now you are going to be familiar with certain other terms that are commonly used in Mendelian genetics. The first one, genes. I think you are all familiar with this term by now. Genes are the segments of DNA that carry the traits from parents to the offsprings. Genes control the traits. The second one, alleles. Alleles are the different forms of a gene. They are the different versions of the gene. Each trait or the character is determined not by a single gene but by a pair of genes. And these are the alleles. As you all know, the chromosome exists in pairs. At the time of reproduction, the gametes will contain only half the number of chromosomes. The male germ cell will contain half the number and the female germ cell also will contain half the number of chromosomes. So the offspring will get the complete set of chromosomes. Half from the paternal side and half from the maternal side. So for each characteristic, an individual will get one gene from his father and one gene from his mother. They are the 2 alleles of a particular trait. For example, height of an individual is determined by a pair of genes. And in that one pair, one gene he has inherited from his father and one gene he has inherited from his mother. Like that, each and every character is determined by a pair of genes. These 2 forms of genes or alleles decide a particular trait in the offspring. It is usually, these alleles are usually represented by English alphabets. One allele is represented by the uppercase of the letter and the other allele is represented by the smaller case, lower case of that same letter. For example, if you consider height as the characteristic, 2 alleles can be represented as capital T or small t. The combination of alleles in the offspring is determined by the fact that which allele he had inherited from his mother and which allele he had inherited from his father. The different combinations can be capital T, that means identical alleles, and it can be capital T, small t, non-identical alleles together, or it can be again identical alleles like small t. And if you consider the shape of the seed in a plant, the 2 alleles can be represented by the letter R. For one allele, capital R, and for the other allele, it can be small r. Then what can be the expected combinations in the offspring, children? It can be capital R, or it can be small r, or even it can be capital R, small r also. If a particular character is determined by the identical alleles like capital T or small t, it is homozygous condition. And if the character is determined by 2 different alleles, non-identical alleles like capital T, small t, it is heterozygous condition of alleles. I hope you all understood about genes, alleles and its homozygous condition and heterozygous condition. For all the characteristics, the allele for one trait always dominates over the other one. So while representing alleles with the letters, the capital letter is used for the dominant allele and the small letter is used to represent the other one, that is a recessive allele. For example, when Mendel studied the height of the pea plants, he realized that the trait tallness always dominates over the dwarfness. So here the tallness is the dominant trait and shortness is the recessive trait. So he used capital T for the allele of tallness and small t for the allele of shortness. The dominant alleles show their effect even the individual only has one copy of the alleles. Means the trait gets expressed in homozygous as well as in heterozygous conditions. When we talk about the height of the plant, tallness, which is the dominant trait in the pea plants, will get expressed in capital T combinations and also in capital T small t combinations. Means one capital T is enough to get this trait to be expressed. But recessive alleles show their effect if the individual has two copies of the alleles. Means that trait will get expressed only in homozygous condition. To get the shortness trait to be expressed, small t is required. Similar way, if we consider the shape of the seed, the round ones and the wrinkled ones, the roundness dominates over the wrinkleness. So the roundness can be expressed as capital R and also by capital R small r combinations. But the wrinkled ones can be expressed as small r combination. I hope you all understood about the dominant allele and the recessive allele. Now you are going to learn about another two terms in this slide. They are phenotype and genotype. What is meant by phenotype? Phenotype means the physical appearance of an organism. Like in the pea plants, it can be the height of the plant, the color of the flower, the shape of the seed. So all these things are the phenotype. And what is this genotype? It is a combination of the alleles an organism inherits from the parents to express a particular character. That is what is genotype. And here in the case of tall plants, the genotype can be either capital T or it can be capital T small t. But in the second one, in the short plant, the shortness, that is a phenotype. And what about the genotype, children? It is small t. So the representation of the alleles, that is what is genotype. It is a genetic makeup of that particular trait, that is genotype. So I hope you all understood these two terms also, the phenotype and genotype. Mendel selected purebred pea plants and hybrid pea plants for his experiments. What are these purebred and hybrid ones, children? Purebred ones are the homozygous ones and hybrids are the heterozygous ones. For example, purebred tall will have the genotype capital T and purebred short plants will have the genotype small t, homozygous type. But the hybrid tall plants will have the genotype capital T, heterozygous condition. Mendel had chosen the pea plants for his experiments. Is there any particular reason for that? Definitely, there are quite a few reasons for that. The pea plants got certain distinguishing features. Let us look into that. They can be pollinated by both the ways of pollinations, that is self-pollination and cross-pollination. Even they have many visible contrasting characters that made Mendel's studies much easier. These are certain traits Mendel studied about in pea plants, like the height of the plant, tall or short. Seed shape, round or wrinkled. Seed color, yellow or green. Seed coat color, green or white. Pod shape, inflated or constricted. Pod color, green or yellow. Flower position, axial or terminal. Flower colors. So all these characters Mendel studied in the pea plants. Another feature of pea plants is they have a short lifespan. So he could raise many generations within a short period of time. So he could easily study the transmission of traits in many generations within a short period of time. And also the pea flowers could be handled easily for his experiment. Because of all these characteristics, Mendel had chosen the pea plant for his experiments. And as I have said earlier, by studying the pea plants, he brought out 3 important laws of inheritance. About his experiments and these 3 laws we will be discussing in the coming module. Now let us summarize all the points what we have learned today. We have recalled certain things related to the process of reproduction from the previous chapter. Reproduction refers to the production